I'm not actually live, am I?
Might need a minute. Now you are.
Okay. I need some kind of intro music or something. I want to I want to start streaming on YouTube more. I mean, the rules are different, but all right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Check out the pilot real quick.
Check one two, check one two.
Apollo 13 flight controllers, listen up. Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
Vital.
We go flight.
Guidance.
Guidance go.
Surgeon.
Go flight.
Ecom.
We're go flight.
GNC.
We're go.
Telmu.
Go.
Control.
Go flight.
Procedures.
Go.
Inco.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Network.
Go.
Recovery.
Go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
Check one two, check one two. All right, welcome to this is only the second time I've actually live streamed on YouTube. It's something that I want to do more of, to bring my podcast over from Twitch to YouTube. But of course, there's a learning curve and time to adjust and blah, blah, blah. But I thought I would start out with a review, my review of the series, the Netflix series, The Fall of the House of Usher. I watched the entire series. This will be a no spoiler review. I will not spoil the ending. There are some things along the way that I can legitimately talk about, I suppose, but I will not spoil the ending. And I just want to talk about the tone, the texture, the characters, the overall feel of the show, and sort of rate it as to whether or not I think it's worth your time. So, with that in mind, the show is loosely based, as you may know, the show is loosely based on the Edgar Allan Poe works, and all of them are referenced. Almost all of them are referenced in one manner or another as the series goes along. Not only the Fall of the House of Usher, from which the title is taken, but the Mask of the Red Death, the Raven, the Telltale Heart, the Pit and the Pendulum. They're all here, and in one way or another, they work the Poe material into the overall storyline. The basic story, as you can of course see from the trailer that was released, the basic story is that there is a family named Usher, a big pharmaceutical family, billionaires, more money than they could spend on a lifetime. That point is made more than once. That there's trouble when the siblings all start dying off in rather quick succession. Well, the baseline story is a Faustian bargain. Now, those of you who are familiar with the story of Faust and his deal with the devil, that's what this is. It's a Faustian bargain, and over the course of the 8 episodes, the devil claims his due. And the narrative, this is it's very slick. I'll put it that way. The production values, the manner in which the story is told, uh, it's all very slick. It's all very well produced. It looks good, and it has its jump scare moments, and it has its creepy moments. Those that really sort of make an impression. But then, like any other series, it also has its moments that are entirely predictable and come as absolutely no surprise when they happen. Um, the characters themselves, I thought, with one exception, which I won't mention, but I thought with one exception, they were all acted uh, effectively. Some of them were brilliantly acted, some of them not so much. And actually, the two in the background there, the two supporting stars in the background there, actually kind of stood out once you see what part they play. But um, the story is effectively told. Now, the characters themselves are a bunch of reprobates. They're all billionaires. Of course, are the family is worth billions of dollars. So these are rich people who do not have the sort of daily concerns that the vast majority of other people do, and so they live the kind of rich lifestyles. And so it's decadent, it's excessive, it's hedonistic. There's a lot of debauchery that goes on. This scene in particular, okay, that still just passed, but they are overindulgent in their desires, and some of their desires that are acted out on the screen are kind of reprehensible in a rational sense. They're the kind of sort of indulgences that you might expect of the rich and famous, the kind of rumors that you hear sometimes. On the in the dark corners of the internet, you hear a rumor about actress X or star Y or whatever, and what they like to do behind closed doors. Okay, that's the kind of stuff that the characters here sort of indulge in. And not only are they narcissistic, they're nihilistic. And they have Mark Hamill's in this, right, in the center square here. Mark Hamill plays a role in the series of sort of the family hitman. He's a lawyer, but he's also sort of a family hitman, and he does a very good job. He really does. He does a very good job of portraying his part. So the children start to die off, sort of one or two at three, and then four, five, and six, and it's all in rather rapid succession. Why that is happening is sort of strung out effectively. It's almost like one thing I can compare that to is the movie Inglorious Bastards. If you're familiar with the bar scene where they're in the underground bar and they're having the conversation with the SS, I think he's a major in the SS, and the SS suspects that these guys are spies, and so but they drag the tension out. That scene seems to go on forever. They drag the tension out. You know what's coming. Eventually, there's going to be a big shootout, but it just keeps getting strung out, and then finally, you have just a few seconds of intense violence. Okay, there's the construction. That sort of this construction also sort of permeates this show as well. There's a lot of attention to detail. A lot of things happen that on screen that you wonder, okay, why is this on screen? Why is that image on screen? Why is she going to look at this particular building? Who is it that the guy sees at the funeral up in the balcony? Why is he wearing the mask that he's wearing? Okay, all those questions get answered in time, but some of them are strung out over a long period of time. And again, it is a tension, a little rough. Um, I thought the hedonistic nature of that episode personally kind of turned me off a little bit. And when that particular sibling met his end, I wasn't the least bit upset about it. I'll put it that way. But the rest of the episodes, did an incredibly good job of just holding your attention and sort of building the uh, the tension as it went along, which is what a good horror show is supposed to do. Okay, what are my criticisms of the show? Once again, let me just real quick list the positives. The inclusion of the Poe material I thought was well done. And as I said, almost every work that he ever did is referenced in one manner or the other. The actors did an incredibly good job. The production values are high. Okay, so what's my complaint? My complaint is that many parts of this were just entirely predictable. You knew what was coming. It held your attention for the most part, but then sometimes you realized, okay, I know exactly where they're going, so let's just get on with it. And then the ending. Now, like I said, I'm not going to spoil the ending. I don't want to spoil the ending. But the ending was, I thought, very disappointing. And it took, it took a 180-degree turn from what you might naturally expect was going to occur, or hoping for that sort of unknown factor of what might occur, and instead delivered uh, a rather sophomoric, preachy sort of diatribe right at the end, and then try to fill that gap with a horror moment that just fell flat on its face. So, is that a deal breaker? Should you not watch the show because the ending takes a nosedive, and what can only be described as an intentional nosedive before it tries to deliver the big punch that you would expect in any sort of work of horror fiction? Is that a deal breaker? No, I still would suggest watching the show. It is, it's very rare nowadays that a show will come along that's actually worth your time to watch, or a movie will come out that's actually worth your time to watch. Okay, this one is worth your time to watch. So just be prepared for the fact that you're going to have your moments where you think, okay, this is really progressing nicely, and they've really done a fine job in the construction of the overall event. And the tension is at the right level, and the jump scares come sometimes when you least expect them, right? Sometimes when you least expect them. But then you're also going to have those moments where, like, come on, that's the best they can do. So, and the ending falls into that category for sure. Okay, so The Fall of the House of Usher. Netflix, eight episodes. I actually I actually binge watched the thing, right? I actually binge watched it, and I was, well, I was I had nothing else to do at that particular moment, but I did want to talk about the show for a little bit, so um, I'm gonna skip to the end of this video. Let's see, there it is. Follow House of Usher, the International Movie Database page. Carla Gugino, who plays Verna, is a stellar, one of the real standouts, right? Mary McDonnell from Battlestar Galactica fame plays Madeline. Bruce Greenwood turns in a nice performance. Henry Thomas, he's very grating. His character is very grating. He's another one of those that you say, all right, come on, just off him already and let's be done with it. But the manner in which he meets his death, I thought was very clever. I'll put it that way. I thought it was very clever. And you can see some of the others. And the cast, oh, with one exception, I have black screen here for some reason. Anyway, with one exception, the I thought the cast all did a very fine job. Okay, now I have a couple of Rotten Tomatoes, Fall of the House of Usher on Rotten Tomatoes. I never really count the critic rating because the critics can be bought off so easily. I recently found an article online that talks about how some critics for Rotten Tomatoes are actually bought off with as little as $50 to turn in, a positive rating, right? $50. Come on, man. 77% average audience rating. Um, Let me back this up. Oh wait, that's not what I want. Sorry, I'll back that up to there. And I would agree with that. I think that's probably that's what I would expect, around the 77%, 75%. That's what I would expect out of the viewership. And The Fall of the House of Usher builds an eerie update on Edgar Allan Poe's foundation. As I said, the Poe works, right? All of them being worked into the plot. The Raven, there's a very clever use. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a very clever use of of the word nevermore, which of course is from the Raven. Once upon a midnight jury, while I pondered weak and weary over some forgotten and ancient text of forgotten lore. Sorry, I messed that up a little bit, but anyway, uh, the use of the word nevermore, very clever. I mean, really, incredibly clever use. The way they put it in and work it into the story, and there's a lot of that. This scene from the Mask of the Red Death, how they work that into is kind of obvious, but the Pit and the Pendulum, the way they worked that into it, I thought was incredibly well done as well. The Telltale Heart was another one. I mean, most of them are there. Most of them are there, and so it was just, it's a nice, for Edgar Allan Poe fans, of which I am one, for Edgar Allan Poe fans, you're really going to enjoy that aspect. The Fall of the House of Usher's preachy finale undercuts the Netflix series Scares. That's just another way to say what I was talking about a few minutes ago. That the final episode, takes such a drastic turn that, and I did use the word preachy because that's exactly what it is. And it's a moment in the entire series that the viewer just kind of sits there and says, they really, why? Why would they feel the need to do this? Why put this in? Well, of course, I can answer that question. I could answer that question. However, to answer that question, I would have to spoil the ending. And I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to say that the moment that's being referenced here in this article about the preachy finale, it does leave you wondering, and it was completely unnecessary. It was completely unnecessary. And then the bit that follows that was actually taken from, and again, I'm not, without spoiling what happens, some of the final moments were almost taken frame by frame by frame from an old Twilight Zone episode. And that I found a little disappointing too. So it was a good series, and it hit a lot of the notes that you would want it to hit. But again, the finale was just a disappointment. And another way to describe that, I suppose, is, they built the foundation very carefully, very lovingly, with great tribute and effort, and then when they went to put the top on it, they just kind of pitched it up there and hoped that it would land in the right spot, and they missed horribly. Okay, so that's another analogy, I suppose. All right, so The Fall of the House of Usher, again, is worth your time. I do hope that you enjoy it when you see it, and I hope that you enjoyed my little review. I may take this and turn it into a regular YouTube video, but that's it. That's all I got for the moment.